Rebecca of Studio Plum.
And I'm Sean of Renstead Interiors. We're interior designers
turned internet friends,
turned real life friends.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
We're not that hot
or that young.
Every week, we'll be spilling the tea on how a new generation of interior designers can run their businesses.
Welcome to the club. Hey, Sean.
What's up, Rebecca?
It's good to be back. It's good to be
back in the saddle.
Yeah, it's still kind of dusting everything off, but
got the training wheels back on for us.
I know.
It comes back to you.
My vocal fry's back, so that's good.
That's hot.
Today we are talking about getting help.
Yes. Okay, getting help is like one of the primary reasons. It is like, honestly, the main reason I could even think about being able to take on more clients, take on more projects, take on podcasting again. Like it's like the main factor that made that possible.
Good for you.
You're working on it. Happy hour has help.
Yeah. No. Yes.
I have been secretly not secretly, but behind the scenes, Rebecca and Claire, I have been saying they need, not a secret for the listeners, they don't know, but it's for you. I'm like constantly talking about getting help now because it's like, I've been shown the light and I don't know why I waited so long. And I do have to partially thank Eneia White from Eneia White Interiors, who's a past podcast guest of ours.
Name drop.
Eneia was like, you need help. And she was really open with me. We had a really great phone call and text thread with each other talking about like the logistics, what we need to think about and how to plan for it. And then just like there is light at the end of the tunnel. As scary as it sounds, I think a lot of it was hard to be able to admit that I could not do everything on my own. That's like, as a business owner, as the only creative force for Renstead Interiors, like it's really hard to say like, I just can't do everything and I can't build a financially sustainable business if everything is like predicated on me. Like how I can't bill 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. Like realistically, a billable day could be like 3 hours of my time could be directly billable. And then I have all this admin work that I have to do.
Literally, yeah.
Like
3 hours would be good.
Yeah, like some days nothing. Some days absolutely nothing because it's like your bookkeeper and a CPA and then you're entering your billables. Like you don't get paid for entering invoices. Like
right.
So that kind of stuff just really drags on our business. And then, add into that days where you don't feel motivated to do stuff. So, that happens. You just don't feel creative. And then so nothing moves.
Right. Or paralyzed with the overwhelm of all the things and not knowing where to start. And
everybody wants a piece of us.
Who am I going to disappoint today?
I have adopted that phrase.
Of when, it's just who, because it's going to happen. So
yeah,
it's a terrible feeling. I'm like your ghost of working past that is still living that life. So for the most part.
And you in the past had larger teams and have really shared like some of there of course can be scarring and like bad things that happen with managing employees and like managing a team and like having like I had in my banking career, like as a manager had to fire people or like coach them and try to recover people who, just it's like, they're not here. They don't want to be here. And like some of those experiences can be tough, but they shouldn't stop us from seeking out help. Like the solution isn't, well, I guess I'll have to do everything. Like that sounds so much crazier.
Like theoretically, I completely agree. I do have some hesitation. I'm not going to call it trauma, but I had some negative situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, from past teams making bad hires, kind of feeling, I don't know, backstabbed.
Yeah.
might I say. And I know it's just about finding the right person. I tell myself, like, oh, I'm not going to find anyone who's going to do what I need them to do the way I want them to do it. Or they're, I really don't even know where to start with what role. So I keep just kind of not thinking about it. For happy hour, on the other hand, we did hire an assistant, and that was completely necessary. Um, but also great because Claire and I share the burden of that. Not burden, sorry, Ainsley, you're not a burden.
Financial accountability.
Sure. And
and like
it's
being
been,
coaches and mentors and managers for that person, it's like easy to divide up the load of that at times instead of just one of
yeah,
you.
exactly. She's only with us 2 days a week, but she's been, I mean, especially when we're in like actual so much cardboard startup mode, like there's like the physicality has been kind of extreme, but she's been really great about it.
And marketing
But
strategy, like
yeah,
helping
she's
you
been
guys
really
get
great with
content
marketing
created.
and getting Instagram rolling. But she's going to be the lead in the library and keeping that organized.
And hopefully a good resource for the co-working designers of like someone who knows intimately like how things work there, because
Right.
she's come in at such an early stage that you and Claire don't have to be the only knowledge base that new designers who are working in the space can also go to Ainsley and get help.
Exactly. So that has been really great. And it's been the problem with comparing this is I created a new business. So offloading some of that work
Mm-hmm.
was like only necessary because I haven't offloaded anything else.
Yeah, like Studio Plum is still all on you at this point.
Yeah.
Right. I'm telling you,
But
you're gonna, I know I don't have to convince you,
I know.
but I kind of do. Like,
And I know I've said this before too, but like we've been talking about some strategies of outsourcing that
yeah,
I think I'm going to start with that for reals and realizing like my real pain points are, and we've all talked about this, is documentation.
like construction documentation, architectural
Mhm,
details,
schedules and
drawings.
specifications.
Yes.
I like half of that stuff I'm not skilled at. And so I'm not taking projects on that require a lot of it, which is not great. And then the other half is like, I don't want to do it, but I
Like
have
the
to. And then it
will,
takes so much time and like, yeah, like this heavy
it's,
lift energetically to get it done.
yeah, because it's like twofold, because it's not just like the will to do it is hit or miss, but it's also like the added skill set of someone who it's so
The
much
will
more
and the
work.
skill.
Yeah, you need to have both. Like, and that's hard for us because it's like, even for me, like thinking of CAD and the work I'm doing, like I get buried and I do now have Marcos with me who's able to work in that. But like, I also need him. Maybe I should fill that in a little bit. Like, Ainsley works with you guys at happy hour at the Design Collective in
Yeah.
person. And then
Mhm.
Marcos works with me mostly in person, but we do remote days. He lives close to me. I'm still working out of my home base studio. He has a little desk. It's
It's
not,
so tiny.
it's you guys, it's really like fits a laptop and like a space for him to sit. It's a very tiny little like writing desk.
Does it fit a
Um,
laptop and a piece of paper?
oh yeah, he could put like a cup on it. Like
Oh.
and it even has a tiny little drawer.
Oh.
But it's a small desk. He really doesn't have a ton of space, but we are making it work. And he, when there's like heavy days where he needs to work in CAD or like needs dedicated time, he usually works from home and we just connect over Zoom or get on the phone and do stuff. But it makes a massive difference to be able to offload even just part of the work. And I can like throw him a sketch. The client will say, what if this is more like a credenza, or what if this is more like a break front cabinet instead of pantry cabinet? What would that look like? Could we redesign it? And I can just like rough sketch out what I'm thinking for that, and then he can take it and put it into CAD, and we can do elevations and details, like, but the switching gears of it all is so time consuming to have to move between modes constantly.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I'm starting to understand more and more why you talk to designers and they're like, no, literally just one person does drawings. Like one person is like our expert at drawings. Some of us can fill in the gaps, but we have a dedicated person who does all of that. There's a lot to be said for how much consistency they can create, how fast they work. Like, I'm pretty fast in CAD, but I'm not as fast as a professional drafts person or a
No,
specialist.
like, I mean, I think we were talking about that. Like, they have, templates and like quick
Yes.
things, and everything's like a library of pieces that's at their fingertips. And yeah, when you're working in one piece of software day in and day out, you become way faster. I mean, when I like go back to my graphic design programs that if I haven't touched them in a while, I'm like, oh God, how do I do that again? So yeah, definitely that Henry Ford model of one person doing one task
Yeah.
is pretty efficient.
And they're like the specialist and going to be better and more responsive.
And they probably want to do that. It's their job. Like it's their career that they chose.
Yeah.
Versus making somebody who's like who feels like we do, who's like, oh, I can do it, but I don't really want to.
I don't want to anymore. Yeah. I think for me, the things that have been the biggest relief is being able to go into presentations. And I've said this out loud to Marcos. I've said, I have never been so calm or like reassured heading into a presentation as I have been since October of last year, of having a second set of eyes on all of the materials that are going out to clients, and knowing that our estimates in the budgets are as accurate as we can get them before a presentation, and that our drawings are the most up to date, and that I didn't forget something on a slide, that everything is in the presentation, all the materials are packaged and ready to go.
That your trade pricing isn't in their proposal accidentally.
Oh God. Yeah. Like all of that stuff, like you miss stuff when you're trying to do everything on your own. Even if you're on your best day, we make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Like we're just a human being.
Totally. Yeah, I did
So
have Ainsley help me with a remote presentation that she just physically was there during the presentation. It didn't work out for her to help me prep, but yeah, just having her like there, Vanna Whiting, or she took tons of notes
oh my
on
God,
my
the note taking
iPad, which was
alone.
amazing. So yeah, it definitely like helped me be able to stay present with the client, and
100%.
which I normally would stay present with the client. The problem that I would have is I would end the meeting and be like, what the hell did I it took
Yeah, like what do I have to
two
revise? Like
notes.
which fabric didn't they like? Like, oh yeah, it was that one. And you're just like, oh shoot. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what to go and refine and revise when I go home now, because I was so busy oohing and ahhing with the client that I didn't
I
get the
took the worst notes
material.
ever. Yeah.
So yeah, to come back with a list that like Marcos can update in our Google Drive, that we're really heavily in Google Drive now. Like you converted me to Google Drive. I think a couple other designers. One of them was Lauren with Studio Lidlock was using Google Drive.
What do other people use? What do you
I
use
don't,
before? Dropbox?
for like presentations.
Oh, slides.
I was using like PowerPoint
You're
for a
talking Google
while.
Slides, not Drive. You were using Drive before.
I was using Drive, but I wasn't using Google Slides. I wasn't really
Yeah.
doing a lot in Google Sheets, but like honestly, it's been so easy to be able to take all these shareable documents and then send them to our renderer, and everything's there. And like I can now think about
Yeah.
having someone do additional construction documentation, and it's like everything's in a drive. Everything is now in a shareable location that's up to date at all moments. It doesn't matter like Someone doesn't have to download the
Yes.
file, save their changes, then upload it back to the drive. It's sure, is it perfect? No, it's probably not. But is it so much more effective than what I was doing? 100%, absolutely that. Um, and I feel like that is probably one of the most transformative things that I did was starting to move over to everything being hosted through Google Drive, through Google's app, suite, made it
Yeah.
so much easier to start delegating and asking for help because everything is in a place that can be shared. No one's waiting on me for a file anymore. Like they can go in
Yeah,
and get it.
that's Lauren convinced me to move away from InDesign for presentations and start using slides. So I agree wholeheartedly. It's using slides has been a real major change for me too. Partly I can do it a lot faster. I'm not like fussing about with exactly making it look ready for some kind of print award.
Right.
And
It takes the pressure off.
but it also helps me stay organized because I can just like make a photo linkable and then I know where I sourced that thing from and I can work still fast the way that I like to without getting hung up on documenting where I'm finding things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
There's
then
no more like
sometimes,
searching through an email and a Pinterest
yeah,
board and a screenshot file and you have to reverse Google image search it. Like,
yeah, for certain clients, I actually will collaborate with them in the slides too. So if they're going to do their own purchasing for like if they're e-design, then I link everything and just say, you handle
here you
all of these
go.
things on this page. Yeah, it's been really great. And also, if in a pinch, I can open it on my phone and do things. So, yes, so I agree. Google, Mr. Google's been a great
A great help.
support.
And maybe even like we should talk about some of the nuts and bolts of hiring if you guys are scared of the idea of it.
Uh-huh.
I feel like the main obstacle I hear from designers who have shared with me is one, finding help. So I got fortunate because I posted to my Instagram and I did have some other designers that I reached out to where it was like, will you share it? Like, and some volunteered, they were like, oh yeah, happy to share. And I feel like you should activate your community um, and ask other local designers to post because yeah, people who like design and students who are into design or people who are in the field follow each other and know people. So that don't be afraid to ask. Like you're it's not bad that you're hiring. It's a good thing you're hiring and people are excited to watch you grow and develop. I also cross posted at the advice of one of our design buddies, Ashley Ausland from Ausland Interiors, said she had really great luck posting to the Craigslist job board. And honestly, some of
Mm.
the most skilled candidates that I screened for the position, my design assistant position, came through that. And I think some of it is that it also feeds multiple job boards, like they've connected their feed to show up in different job posting places, but you have to funnel back through the Craigslist job posting to apply. And it was like $45. Like it was nothing. Like you could have done it through Indeed and other places, but I was really pleased with the candidates. Um, and I kind of did like multi-level screening. I did my own review and then I sent almost like a scare you off email about like, hey, this isn't like we're just going to go shopping together. This is like, no, you're going to be putting things in recycling bins and you're going to be picking up like tile samples or you're going to be helping at installs. No one is above anything. Like this isn't a drama workplace type of email. If any
Yeah.
designers are listening and you want my warning email, send me a DM or something on Instagram and I think I still have a copy of it. But it was like a truly like don't schedule a Zoom interview with me unless you agree with all of these things because this is what the job will be. And that made it so much easier because when I got on that first round Zoom interview, people knew what to expect. There was no guessing what they would do day to day.
Right.
And I did a second round after that with the people who made it past Zoom.
And then you
because
hired a
some
private
people
investigator and
and then I
got
did
the
do I
FBI
did do
involved.
I did do
I know
background
you
check.
did.
You can, you guys, it's so you can pay for background checks and you send the links to the person you're considering hiring and they fill it all out. I also did professional reference checks myself, where I used to do this hiring at the bank, but it's calling their past managers and kind of reading between the lines and asking questions. You got to be tenacious and make sure your like gut check is right. It's hard because I get so excited and people are excited about applying for jobs, but it really is about personality match and skill match. And it's hard to get everything. You're never going to get perfect everything. Like,
Well, personality match, like I think we've said in the past, like it's easy to get excited about either a hire or a client that you're like, oh,
yeah,
I could totally go have a cocktail with this person. They're so fun. But that's different than their ability to work together.
yes.
So,
And like do
yeah.
the work that we need.
And the older I get, the less I care about how, their cocktail ability. Of course, I want to enjoy their company to a point, but more of like, what is your work ethic? I think is the most important.
Yeah.
Because if you have the right work ethic, then you can learn how to do anything for the most part. Depending on what your skill or what your job is. But like for a general assistant type, like, yeah, you can't teach hustle, but
Yeah.
I can teach you how to work in studio designer.
Yeah. Like I can teach you how I like to prep my presentations and what I
Right.
like in them and the way I like images to be laid out. Like I can teach you that stuff, but like it's been good because Marcos, I like fully like disclosed to him, I will forget about this. Can you remind me of this? Like, I will not remember that, or I won't, that will not be important. Or I'm like, don't let me leave today unless we've accomplished these things. And like, he'll know that I'm in the
Yeah.
middle of stuff. And he's like, did you do that? Did you do that? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, like, thank you. Like, I do need some of that accountability push, but he also needs that from me. Like, I need to say, okay, today before you leave, we have to send that email. We have to write that and send it.
Yeah.
And we all need that from each other. There is something about that accountability, which I think we also get from one another as designers, communicating on Instagram and Marco Polo. Um, but I will say, like, the drive to do stuff has changed a lot once it's like Marcos just it isn't just a mouth to feed, but it's that idea of if I don't enter the invoicing and I don't get the hours and we don't bill that stuff, I don't have the money to pay myself and him. And that's a disservice when we have the things we need to do in front of us. And there are days we don't get everything done, but like I've got to make sure we're doing the stuff that keeps the doors open and keeps us both paid.
Yeah. And there's also that pressure, which I don't enjoy, but it's also good, of creating tasks for that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking the time to set their day up for success, which will make it likely happen.
Right.
Versus like I just kind of hit the ground running and I wake up at 5 o'clock. I'm like, shit, I gotta go
Yeah, there's like a bunch
home.
of stuff I had to
Time's
do. And
up.
yeah.
It's just like that's it. So don't come to me for time management advice, but
I mean, I think all of us probably struggle because of how sporadic and like sometimes our days can feel really schizophrenic.
oh my god,
Like,
yesterday, like I got majorly derailed by some news yesterday that I roped Sean into, but more on that in an upcoming episode.
yeah, we'll talk more, but it's that kind of stuff. And that's our business. Like clients call or contractors call or the supplier, like you're on that game. And so we get pulled in a million directions. It's nice to know that someone can like hold down the fort. I also really
Well, at least their
appreciate,
list is getting done. Like
yeah, they can do their
the
stuff while
minimum.
I'm not getting something done and I can still bill their time. Um, I don't know. It never really like landed with me for whatever reason, maybe because like I wasn't emotionally in a place to hear it, but several designers and podcasters in design have all talked about the idea of like the right employee will make you more money. Like, and now that I'm on the other side of it and I'm several months into the process, like finishing out the year, it's very true. Like I can
It's
bill
an
more
investment.
I can bill more time. It took a while to get things like up to speed. Like you should expect your first 6 months with an employee to be an investment, and you're going to have to still put in more time, but you're already doing it all yourself. So like any amount that you can divert right from the beginning, whether it's reading through emails or updating the calendar or reaching out to clients to give them updates, like anything that can relieve pressure is more than you would have on your own from the very beginning.
Especially something else that having an employee makes me do is create systems instead of just doing a task.
Right.
So like it's kind of overkill sometimes. Like Claire and Ainsley roll their eyes at me because I'm like, app happy with like making things like
But
shareable
it,
or organized in
but
a
it gives
way.
you a
But
place to get to everything. It's so easy.
well, and then it's setting us up for the future where like maybe our infrastructure is overkill right now, but adding like we've started standard operating procedures. Like there's things that we're
Yes.
like putting in there that okay, we don't need them right now, but while we're training her, onboarding new members, I'm putting them in so down the road that will help.
Yeah, like there should be a step or a process, but I don't like I'm kind of like how you guys are doing it, where it's like once the person is here, you're still going to be doing it. I would not, for anyone who's like, well, I'll wait until I'm organized. I don't think you can afford to do that. For most designers, if you already haven't developed your own steps and processes that are repeatable, you like why not is sort of like it's probably not going to happen before you need help, and it's better to just get started somewhere and like start putting it together while you need the car to roll. Like
Especially while you're doing it, when you realize like, okay, this task I'm about to do is a repeatable task. Let me document my steps
mhm,
as I'm doing it. Like I've been doing it a lot lately with email script templates. Like my software
yeah,
lets me like keep templates with attachments and everything. So I've been doing a better job of formulating emails to new leads or whatever that I can repeat to the next person.
yeah, it's not so custom that it's only that person
Especially as
can
my
do it.
services have changed. Now I'm like giving them the here's your three options and what that kind of means. And then yeah, and then it'll be easy to reply next time. So yeah, get help.
Get help. There's logistics behind it too. Like everyone, your states are all different. I would recommend making sure you know what your state and municipalities guidelines are on independent contractors, figure out what that is, really do your research to find out what other designers are paying in your area to make it competitive. Like you're going to get better candidates if you pay better. You are going to get a better response if you really know the stuff you need. Like just start by writing down a list of stuff that you could definitely have an assistant do. And for me, it was things like prepping for presentations, creating quotes, requesting bids, updating spreadsheets. Like that was the easy
Requesting
stuff.
samples. Yeah.
Yes. And like any, I mean, you can test for it professionally and make sure. Like I slowly started rolling things out to like, oh, now I know how you write emails. You don't need to copy me on every email anymore. Like it's okay. I know you're not going to do something unprofessional, or now I
Or
feel
opposite.
comfortable. Yeah. Like
Or
you need to
maybe you're a little too there's too much brevity in this. Let's expand and
yeah,
make
let's
sure.
let's get the right
Maybe
mood
add an
or
exclamation
atmosphere.
point.
Make it happy. Like those types of things you are going to need to experiment, and you would need to do that with anybody. Like being completely honest, regardless of the candidate, you want them to kind of jive with your business style, the way you talk with clients, the way you prep things. Um, you know, it may take longer for some tasks than others, but it's so much easier to think about what that means once you have some help. And to think about like, it's that much easier to get help on the next thing once you've already done it once. Like this week, I've been sending you messages like, I want someone to just do construction documentation because Marcos and I are doing so much face-to-face with clients and presentations and contractor meetings and site visits that now I would rather have him continue all that stuff than having to pass off drawings. And so now I'm like I don't know if I think you haven't used it, but I'm looking at Upwork, which is a great place to start for freelancers. You've also used Thumbtack?
Thumbtack? Yeah, I haven't really compared the differences, but Thumbtack I use to find like my IT website maintenance guy.
And you can find people like that on Upwork as well. And so but with Upwork, it tends to be very like specific task oriented. But you can say that you want people who are going to do longer term projects. Like if you need them for 6 months
like
to do stuff,
like a project posting.
Yeah, you like create the post. Like, hey, one of the ones I sent was some updates that I wanted some more interactive spreadsheets. And like I could probably figure it out on my own in Google Sheets, but it's that much easier to pass it off to someone there. And they do it and then it's done. And it gets our time back, to bill to clients. And so I've been really pleased with like the ability to peel off these little things that it's like, you know what, an expert at this task would be that much faster. And then Marcos and I can bill our time on other things and make up for having to pay someone $60 an hour for a spreadsheet or $30 an hour. Like, oh yeah, their quality is going to be better.
Okay, fine.
I would hire for you if you were here. I would host the interviews. Like I would in a hot minute help you do it if you
actually
were here.
Did. You were here when we interviewed Ainsley.
I did get to be part of the interview and I shared with you guys all my interview questions that I asked and we highlighted the ones that were kind of applicable. I love situational questions like what would you do or how would you react if, like I love getting those glimpses into people because the resume is them already answering about their experience. Like the rest you need to know is like kind of how they're going to fit in day to day. So maybe that's in the future, we'll host an interview workshop. I don't want to overcommit, but I feel like a lot of designers maybe haven't had that same experience or like how to convert the interview styles of other industries into what we do creatively. And there's a way to do it. Like it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I've hired a lot of people in my past life. So yeah, that would be fun. That'll be a fun episode.
Yeah. So the short of it is get help, everybody. It's not too hard. You have to start somewhere.
Or it is hard, but it's worth it like tenfold.
Oh, so I'm a different person now than I was before I had help.
You kind of
in a great way. Like my mental health is better. I feel like I'm more available to my family and my friends. And I feel like I have the desire to want to pour myself into other things now that I wasn't experiencing before. And it has helped reinvigorate my creativity at the same time, probably because I've created the room for that to grow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, stress isn't really great for creativity.
No, or not for like the best results that you want.
No.
So let's do it, hotties.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make some progress.
All right. Until next time.
Stay hot, designers. Thanks for joining this meeting of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the show notes there for links to things we talked about today.
We are keeping the conversation going on Instagram, so don't forget to like, comment, and follow at Hot Young Designers Club.
You can find Rebecca on Instagram at Studio Plum.
And you can find Sean at Renstead Interiors. That's WRENSTED. Hi, Sean.
Wait, Hey, Sean,
Wait,
or hi, Sean?
what do I say? Hey?
You usually go, hey, Sean. Hi, Sean.
God, I'm so out of practice. I forgot my own catchphrase.